In a world where production numbers reign supreme, one man on a mission. Verbal garbage.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of Verbal Garbage coming at you hot and live. Today we got another very special guest. I want to shout out to my girl Anya for coming on. If you don't mind getting the show started, Anya, tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do for work, those kind of fun things. So let's go.
Okay. I am Anya. I'm 22 years old. I live in Buffalo, New York.
Heyo.
I am working in a nursing home as a CNA. I've been working there for about 2 years. So
Very nice.
Yeah.
Right out of high school, did you start getting into that, or
yeah,
homeschooled, high school, private school, public? What are we talking here?
Catholic school.
Oh,
Yeah.
We doing all boys, all girls? What's going on here?
Mixed, actually.
Let's go.
So yeah, I'm going to school hopefully in the fall for nursing. So
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
What's the CNA process like? You got to get certified for that, or is it a classes you take, or how's that work?
yeah, at first they train you for a temporary CNA because I started during COVID. So they didn't have the actual class. So I haven't been certified.
Thanks. So were you doing that on Zoom?
No, it was a class, but it was only 8 hours long. It wasn't the full 4 weeks because the certified is for 4 weeks.
Okay.
But we did a short one. So I think they just needed people to come in and work throughout COVID. So I was like, why not?
So is
And
that
it's,
was
totally fine.
your first experience as a CNA? And if you don't mind, Anya, tell the people real quick what CNA stands for and kind of what's the overall summary of the job.
Okay, so CNA is a certified nursing assistant. We are just we literally wipe asses all day.
All right, so
that's literally it.
do any of your customers have the luxury of using a bidet first to help you go in and not have such a mess to clean up afterwards, or?
We should get that, but they're so expensive. Oh my gosh.
Hey,
But
now.
that would be so.
It's something, since the first episode of my show, I emailed the sponsor, Hello Tushy, the company, because the way I got into it is, I don't know if you ever heard of Joey Diaz. He's a comedian from New Jersey. I'm from Jersey. Shout out to the Northeast girl. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
And he would always just have these hilarious ad reads about it. And I was like, I wonder what these things are all about. And I went on, used this promo code, got one. And I talked to every person I have on the show, stranger, friend, whatever they are, I bring it up. And you kind of brought me right into it there. So it wasn't very tough. Have you yourself, young lady, have you ever thought, do I have one? I have one. I bought in 3 for people. I've gotten 4 or 5 friends to buy them.
How is it do you like it?
It's such a hard topic for me to even cover because I'm so passionate beyond belief about it. That's some people are all you do is talk about butts on your pot. I'm like, okay, well, there's a stigma out there where you put this thing on your toilet. First of all, it has this little adapter on it, right? So it's funneling the toilet water you're using. So it's all clean toilet, the same water you would use to shower with, wash your teeth, and brush your teeth with. It's the same thing that's going up your tail and cleaning it. So I just don't understand the hold up. Now, do you yourself, do you have any objections to these? Is there a stigma that you have in mind? What goes through your head when someone talks to you about one?
Oh my God. I am interested in using one and trying it out because it sounds really cool.
All right. See, this is a friendship that was just meant to be because I just spent a week or so in New Jersey with my older sister, her husband, and they have 2 kids. And I was hyping them all about it. And they were kind of resistant. So right before I left, I bought them one. Had a little bit of trouble installing it because I'm not the most handy little plumber in the world. But anyways, they've given me some feedback. It's going over very well in the house. So I got it on Amazon Prime Day for a great deal. So I'm just saying, it's something you're considering. You ease into it. It's a very nice process. And
is it hard to install? What's
it is
background?
It's a little tough. I'll be honest. I'm not by any means a accomplished plumber. I'm not very good with tools, and it's ironic because that's what I do is I sell tools for a living. What's up, guys? You've heard me talk about out-of-body experiences, a little mushroom trip, a little bong pack here and there. Well, luckily for you, you can now experience these legally. Astral Projection and Lucid Dreaming by Vince Field is a book out where you can read and delve more into the world of out-of-body experiences and lucid dreaming. Vince has got 20 years experience of doing these crazy wild things that I have to take mushrooms or smoke 4,000 bong packs of to experience. Meanwhile, my boy uses his mind and his thoughts to take him to dimensions and planets never seen before in person by humans. Check it out on Amazon if you're interested. It's definitely something I'd enjoyed. Astral Projection and Lucid Dreaming by Vince Field. Check it out now. But yeah, I had a great time, taking out the hose, starting it that way. But then my problem was I got the whole thing installed. And when I left, my brother-in-law told me all he did was buy the plumber's tape to put around a couple of spots so it wouldn't leak. So it really is about a 15-minute install process. If you have that nice little plumber's tape, easy as pie, you're on your way to getting a clean whistle every day, all day.
Like, put it together.
No, and I'm like, these are disgusting conversations. I get it. And it's like a weird thing, but I'm like, these are things like I bought my mom one for Mother's Day, just to give you an idea of where we're at.
Okay. That's awesome.
But she even came to me, she's like, by the way, I love this thing. I'm like, yeah, and it kind of ruins it when I get it to people because, my brother got one and he's super into it like I am, but he's like, dude, when I listen to you fucking talk about it in your podcast, it's ridiculous. He's like, you can go to other places and not have them. Like, I literally can't. Like, there's some kind of wiring in my brain where you get used to it and you're into a certain way. So I think that's more than enough time on that topic. I'm sorry. You did kind of initiate it. Let's go there. So
okay.
You were saying after you get done, you're doing a little bit of CNA right now. Did you say you were going to go back to school?
Yeah, I'm transferring schools because I used to go to school down in Pittsburgh for college, but then like everything like COVID hit and then I was doing like ROTC and then I was doing soccer and then it was just too hard for me and my grades were like really bad. Not really bad, but yeah, I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to get kicked out of school. So I'll just take a semester off. And then one semester came two. And then I was like, I'll just go back home and
it's a hard transition
for a while.
Really, I was in my early 20s. I'm 30 now. I still don't really know what I want to do. And you take job after job. If you're not like, I have friends that grew up and they went right to college, did a 4-year program. They majored in something. Some of them have jobs in the field. Some of them don't. My sister, I grew up with her. My sister right away, she knew exactly what she wanted to do. She's in that field. She's killing it. But I'm like, that wasn't my path. And kudos to you for getting your wheels in motion because I didn't get back and finish my associate's degree until I was like 28 years old because I just got unmotivated. I just got stuck just trying new jobs. I landed in the restaurant industry for a couple of years and woo-wee.
That's a difficult one.
Have you ever tried that? I was going to ask because I know a lot of CNAs and nurses, people that are in that field, they do restaurants. So I was curious if you ever dabbled.
No, but I used to like waiter. We used to do like my church does like one of those like fish kind of things. What is it?
Sushi?
Like they sell fish and like I forgot what it's called.
There was like some kind of thing that my grandparents used to do, like a 3-fish, like on Christmas, you would have like the 7-fish dinner, maybe something like that.
Yeah, we did something like that. So I kind of like waited for them. I liked it, but I just hate talking to people.
Really?
I'm like a really awkward person to talk with. So
same here. That's like exactly what I want to do. So I'm like, all these weird thoughts and all these like crazy stories I have. I like telling all my friends and family, but I'm like, now I'm putting it out there and having strangers listen to it. I'm like, you finally got to the point where you're just like, fuck it. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you do your own podcast? What, Walkie Talkie with Us?
It's Talkie Walkie with Us.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
It's okay. Sometimes I ask my friend, I'm like, is it Talkie Walkie or is it Walkie Talkie?
I guess that's like, kind of nice. You can switch it up whenever you want.
Yeah. I don't think like no one would like notice it, like if I got it wrong or something.
No, you have a fluid podcast name, right?
Yeah. But it used to be the Endlessness podcast, but because like the Endlessness podcast, I was like, let me just talk about whatever and like no specific. Did you start
by yourself or did you have someone or?
I started by myself and then I was like, this is really boring. Like who wants like me to talk?
Yeah, but were you having fun?
I was.
Dude, that's like, obviously you want to get wrapped up in what people think and everything, but I'm like, if you're going on and it's an outlet for you and you have fun, isn't that really all that matters?
Yeah, that's true.
So how did that develop? Because now you're doing it with your friend, what's her name?
Bree.
Yeah, I was listening. I was telling my brother, I was like, so you guys are big Twilight fans, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. Because I'm not into Twilight. I've always been a huge Harry Potter fan. My brother, like within a year, he got into Twilight with his girlfriend. He's like, says how amazing it is. Pitch me and the listeners, Anya, right? This is your chance. Pitch me on Twilight. Someone who's a hater, who's always had a stigma, a weird thing about it. Why am I wrong? Why is it worth watching?
Well, I always like wolves. Okay, like I grew up liking wolves, and I grew up liking vampires. I'm like, vampires are so real. Like, there's vampires in this world. There's wolves, and just like when it came out, it was like very romantic. Like back in the day, I think it came out like it came back. Oh my god, a long time ago. I think
Was it like post Harry? Was it mid Harry? Because Cedric Diggory was middle-aged teen by this time, right?
oh gosh, I don't know. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan.
Oh,
like,
you missed the Cedric Diggory joke then.
no. Yeah, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. So
The main Robert Pattinson, his name in Harry Potter was Cedric Diggory.
Oh, okay.
Damn it. So yeah, I think like by the time the third or fourth Harry Potter was out, or maybe fifth, I'm not sure. Was that when Twilight was starting to sprinkle out? He was doing his own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. It was like really, I had the whole series of every Twilight, so I would watch it every weekend, like nonstop.
Dang.
Like
how many movies are there in total?
I want to say there's like 6.
So you would just watch 6 or 8 like just every weekend. Just would you watch all 6 or 8 in one weekend, or would you specialize in 2 to 3 per weekend?
I would watch all of them. It would be like an ongoing like watch.
Did
like,
you start noticing any vampire or wolf tendencies that were taking over?
No.
You know how it is when you start watching so much stuff and you just like kind of get, especially good movies or books, so you almost feel like you're consumed by that world. And I was just starting to wonder if you're just sitting there and like you look outside and you see a little bit of a moon or something, you start giving a little howl out, or so, you know.
Sometimes I do.
Heyo. Are you still super into the Twilight, or?
I still am. Because it's on Netflix too, like one or two of them. Yes.
Twilight.
So I usually watch those. So.
Any other like when you guys are on there, because that was the episode I was listening to when you guys were doing like your top 5 books of the year, right? And unfortunately, it was a bunch of books I haven't really, not to say anything, none of the books I've ever heard of. What genres do you typically like when you're reading?
Thriller or like crime scene ones, like something about like true.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's all the kind of books I'm into, like true crime, the American Mafia, the Cuban Mafia, like that's definitely my jam. I've probably read 20 or 30 books just specifically on that stuff. And then I'm a big sports fan, so I like reading like the autobiographies and shit like that, you know, just to keep it spicy, mix it up a little bit.
Exactly. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right. Okay. So have you been more like, have you ever tried the audiobooks? Is that something you enjoy, or do you prefer still reading?
Once in a while I get into audios, but I prefer like the hardcover books.
Okay, so you're still physically into the turning of the page, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have like a bookshelf. I had a ton of physical books and I was building it up, and I was like, one day I just want to have a giant shelf full of books. But then I got into a Kindle because my sister just kept talking me into it. And have you ever tried that? Like, those things are fucking amazing.
I had a Kindle once.
Yeah.
And then I broke it.
Fucking werewolf tendencies. I know it.
I know.
Right? So no, like my sister got me this because I'm a big Amazon shopper. I have Amazon Prime. I got the credit card, so I'm just constantly buying stuff, and they always have deals on there. And then like, it just makes it so easy. You go and buy a book, and it literally is downloaded on your Kindle right away. And just, you know, tapping the thing instead of turning the page and the old licking of the finger. It's a great feeling, and it's something I miss. But I don't know. I feel like once you kind of get into having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books digitally downloaded onto one device, pretty cool.
Yeah, that is true.
So have you always been from the Northeast, born and raised in New York, or have you been other states, or how's that?
I was born in Russia, so.
Whoa. Heyo.
Yeah.
Are your parents Russian? Are you actually Russian, or were they?
I was adopted, so.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to step on.
I don't really care.
Do you remember any of that?
Like remember what?
Like being born in Russia, or having, you know, the adoptive parents come in and visit you, or any. I don't want to be too broaching on any of the subject. If hopefully.
No, I'm good.
Cool. I'm good with that. Just curious, like if you remember any of the origin of that, the adoption process, I guess, let's say.
Not really the adoption process. I just remember like kind of like where I was foster, because I was like in a foster kind of place, but I remember just hanging out with like the other foster kids and being a bad kid. So
Dang.
yeah,
Do you remember
but I
like?
don't remember parents or anything. So
Okay, well, obviously I didn't mean to bring that up, but you're a trooper about
that's
it,
okay.
being super cool. Shit, I just lost my train of thought because I'm overcome with sympathy about that, and just not that it's a bad. I'm sure everything ended up great, but just like, do you remember the year or age that you left Russia and came to America?
I only know I was 2.5 years old, so
Ah,
probably like 2002.
okay, very cool,
Yeah,
very cool.
but I guess I was a really bad kid. So
Well, at least you don't remember it that well. I have terrible memories of me being horrible and being disciplined. Do you, when you got to, New York, did you get into trouble in those school systems? Did you always go to Catholic school? Was it public schools when you were in elementary school, or?
I was public school, and then my like sophomore to junior year of high school, I went to a Catholic school. So
So was that
all
like
my life I was public.
yeah.
Yeah, hated it
What's
so much.
what, you hated public school or you hated Catholic school?
Public, I hate big schools, and I just like, I don't know, everyone fought in my school. There was like always drama. Like
Man,
I didn't have a lot of friends, but I played a lot of sports.
I was gonna ask
So
that. Yeah. What sports you play?
yeah. I played hockey, lacrosse,
Whoa.
soccer,
Holy shit.
wrestling. So
Damn. Now, did they have a female wrestling team where you were there, or were you scrapping it up with the men, or how'd that go about?
well, when I was in my public school, every like wrestler was like talking shit about wrestling and like, oh, I beat this girl. I was like, okay, whatever. And I hated wrestling, but then when I switched over to my Catholic school, they had a wrestling program, and one of my friends, which was a female, she's like, hey, you want to join the wrestling team? I was like, sure, why not? And then
Hey,
I
if you
like,
got someone else to join with you, right? That makes it
yeah.
a little easier.
So it was like really fun. It was like a small wrestling group. I loved it. Loved it so
Damn.
much.
Are you still confident in your double leg abilities, or?
I'm more of a single leg.
Hey-o.
So
I bring it up a lot in my podcast. I always talk about it, and I think it's pretty apropos now. I'm big into martial arts, watching it. I kind of watched it for years, and I got into doing jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, but mainly jiu-jitsu. Have you ever thought about getting into that world? I mean, with
I
the
really
wrestling,
want to.
no, you need to do it then. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to and you have a skill and some kind of base in wrestling with a background, I mean, you should
Okay.
see it. There's like all these memes all over Instagram where, like blue belts, guys that have been training between like 1.5 to 3 years, which is what I am. There'll be a meme
Okay.
about like blue belts, and it'll be like a new wrestler, and the wrestler's just fucking you up because they can come in. They're so quick. They have such a good base. They're so agile. Do you know if there's any gyms or academies around you that are pretty close? Is it something you've looked into?
There is a couple, but like they're so expensive. Like, is it expensive? Like
It's
to
very expensive, but
yeah.
come on,
'Cause
girl.
like
I mean, you can't put a price on everything. Like,
I have money. I'm broke.
I know, but you got to think like, do you ever frequent like, going out to restaurants, bars, getting anything to eat? Like, what are your expensive hobbies, if any? Do you do anything that,
Skydiving.
come on,
I skydive, and that's like pretty expensive. So
you do that like once a month? Like how?
well, right now I'm trying to take more courses to become a solo
Oh,
jumper. So like
nice.
yeah, so I have to get like my jumps in. So they're like $200 to $300 per jump, and I'm like, that's a lot.
That,
So I might go
that's
skydiving this week, but I'm not sure. Maybe.
damn. What if I told you that $300 could pay for roughly a month and a half, depending on where you're at, of jiu-jitsu? You could go 25, 28 plus days a month. I don't know how often you
Okay.
go, but I just tell people like, I guarantee, like at my gym now, at my first gym, it wasn't very female dominated, as you could imagine. It's more of a male populated sport.
Yeah.
But at my gym now, they have an amazing kids program going. Shout out to City of Palms Jiu-Jitsu in Southwest Florida, Fort Myers specifically. But they have a female program now that it's skyrocketing. I mean, in any given night, there are between let's say 4 and 8 girls there, and they'll kind of be in their own corner, kind of working with
Okay.
each other, because it can be a little uncomfortable for them or for men to be drilling with each other when you're doing, it can be a little uncomfortable. When you're rolling, you're not really thinking about it, but drilling, it can be a little more in your head.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you have, females like that you can do multiple reps with different girls, I feel like it's pretty cool. And I don't know if you'd be in that same situation where you'd have as many, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Like if I were to go to the gym and like practice, but like I would rather practice with like a guy than like a female because like
okay,
they are
yeah.
more stronger and like I don't know, it just makes
Well,
me
like
feel like I
when
can
I'm
do
talking
it.
like when you're like, I'm just saying like drilling, when you're like kind of going over a move, slowly learning moves and just practicing each other. I feel like that's when it's better to have two. I don't know. I'm just speaking from an outsider's perspective. But then when we're rolling, like trying to actually tap each other and take each other down and go out, like I think it's perfect to mix it all up like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm not saying
Yeah.
only just specifically to only train with you. I was just saying drilling and just the comfort
Just
level
drill, yeah.
alone. You're not having a fucking sweaty, greasy gorilla like me dripping all over the place and freaking you out. Because first, when I joined, like there would be a couple chicks that would be commenting about how sweaty, and I'm like, yo, you're already making me feel fucking like I'm just working out hard.
Everyone sweats.
Yeah, right.
So
I mean, you talked about being awkward, not really like talking, but then here you are doing a podcast, and great things I think come out of going outside of your comfort zone. It's something I'm trying to get better at as I get older. So if it's a little something you're nervous about in the money, yeah, I mean, it's definitely cost something, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, the
it's worth
friends that
it.
you'll be able to make, the confidence you develop from doing it, the skills you learn. I mean, it's my brother's in law enforcement, and he has stories
Okay.
almost every day now about using jujitsu in real life situations that are,
Yeah.
I don't want to be dramatic saying they're saving his life, but in reality, they're going from situations where people could be using lethal force or a taser or a baton.
Mhm.
And instead he can calmly get them down, take them down, control them, and then handcuff them. So
Yeah.
again, I don't mean to make that all about me, but I was just curious on your thoughts if that's something you'd ever entertain or be kind of interested in the future.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, if you ever do, please shout me out and let me know. I'm curious to see if you like it or if you continue
Okay.
or what the case may be.
Will do.
So talk a little bit about your podcast on here. How long have you guys been doing it? What are kind of some of the things you talk about? What are, if you can think of like a favorite episode or some favorite moments you've had, give my people some taste of Anya. Let's go.
Okay, so I've been doing my podcast for about a year and a half now.
Shit.
Yeah, it's been a while. We don't have a lot of viewers, so like I really need to know like how to get more viewers, I guess.
We both, sister.
Yeah, but I like what I do. I like talking, so it doesn't really matter.
That's it.
At first,
Literally.
yeah, the first podcast that I listened to, it was just me talking about literally whatever, I guess, like stuff like I was interested or like the news. But now that we have like a specific thing to talk about, we just talk about books, movies, and music. I think we
That's very
talk
nice.
more towards like books and movies more so.
You guys
than,
go
like,
in like each, do you do an episode a week? And then if you do you have like, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what you're going to talk about. And then you just riff. Do you guys come in with like bullet points? How does that work? Because I don't have any kind of structure and I'm very curious.
I usually pick out what we're going to talk about because every time I ask Bree, she's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, great.
Bree, step it the fuck up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Someone had to say.
Yeah. So I usually pick what we talk about. I'm like, hey, you want to talk about this? And she's like, sure. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about like 5 things that we like about a book or something. So
Oh, nice.
I usually do the hard work.
Shout out to you, girl. It's not easy.
Thank
And
you.
I'm not hating
Yeah.
on I started off with doing it with someone else. And, we kind of just got to the point where it just wasn't working out. It wasn't a fit anymore. So I just figured if I'm doing a lot of the legwork, I'll just do a solo episode once a week and then just have interviews. And now what I'm doing is I'll just have, like I did one before I went out to eat, came home, doing one with you now, and then I'll release them as I go and just build up as much as I can. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. Do you have a schedule of like when you post or something, or do you just
I'm
post
trying to do
whenever?
Mondays and Fridays right now. So like
Okay.
Mondays, I did one. Yes, it was a Sunday yesterday. So I recorded it on Sunday and then I released it at like Monday around 4 or 5 o'clock. And then Sundays,
Okay.
Fridays, I try to release them like Thursday, real late at like, you know what I mean? Going into Friday morning between 12 and 2.
Yeah.
I just feel like being
Okay.
consistent as far as your releases, that'll just
Yeah.
help people know when to expect what's coming.
Yeah. I usually post mine on like Fridays. Like we record on Thursday or like Friday morning, and then I release them Friday morning.
Nice. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like having that set, and I don't know like if doing 2 a week is too much, but I'm like, problem I have is when you're talking, like I'm trying to interview you, but then I have so many thoughts I go off of. So I was like, let's do one solo a week so I can just fucking try to get my thoughts out and then have someone where I let them talk a little bit. And I feel like I'm talking a little bit more this episode than I usually do. So I apologize, but
go for it. I don't care.
What happened was we just got back from going out to eat, and my brother and I was across the street checking in on my neighbor's pets, making sure, because I've been house sitting for them for the last week. And some guy driving a big truck was trying to sell meat door to door. He went to a neighbor's house, but it wasn't halal beef, so they wouldn't take it. And they were real assholes about it, supposedly. So he was trying to get me to buy it. I said no. I come back home. My brother's in the van with them. They fucking lured him in the van with a Reese's cup, like a fucking little. I was like, yo, dude, these guys are literally rapists. Don't go in there with them. So long story short, like we ended up buying a good amount of meat from this truck because they were going to go all the way back home without making a sale. So it was closing time. They had to do something. And then I was like, all right, if I'm going to buy this meat, you're going to fucking. So I went on their phones, subscribed to my podcast. So I'm a little juiced up right now, my girl. So I don't mean to be so hyper, but I definitely got the juices.
Did you try the meat?
No, it was all freezered, right in a freezer from Okeechobee. It was like all Florida cattle. It was all beef and pork. And yeah, I mean, I got a smoker. I'm big into cooking and reverse searing, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I got a lot of energy right now. I was like, we were stuffing the freezer with meat, and I was like, we feel like the Sopranos. They were just robbed like the back of a truck and taking all this meat off and storing in the freezer. So I'm on a little bit of a high right now, for sure. Have you ever fallen victim to any meat trucks pulling up out front of your house, or Mr. Softy when you just eaten anything?
Oh gosh, no, not even like meat. Who sells meat? I don't even know.
I mean, what do you do when you're in the mood for a nice steak or pork loin or something? You go to a grocery store, right? Are you vegan? Are you vegan?
No.
Okay.
No, I used to.
All right. I used to. Now, were you vegetarian or were you vegan?
I was vegan.
All right, so you were going full bore. Don't mind the pun, but
yes.
Yeah, my brother and his girlfriend were doing it for like 2 years almost, and they were, everything you could imagine. They were pretty serious about it. So, what was that like for you as far as an adjustment? Did you feel healthier when you were doing it? Did you feel like you had more energy?
I went to California because that's where like my godmother lived. So like I visited her. Yeah, I visited her. She was vegan, but I think she was like some kind of vegan where sometimes she ate like meat and like sometimes she didn't. So I was like,
sounds like an interesting kind of vegan, huh?
Yeah, so I was like confused, but she's like, oh, you gotta take a bunch of like vitamins and like a lot of pills to like compensate. I was like, okay, but I'm not gonna waste my money on like pills and whatnot to compensate for. Yeah, so I did it for like 2.5 years. I did like it, but it was like so expensive for me. So I was like, I like my meat. Let me just go back.
And I try, like, if you heard of like Butcher Box, like you were like, who sells meat? Well, just say, young lady, there's a lot of companies that do it. All right. And I tried to do it.
I didn't know that.
Really? Oh, they do.
Like who sells meat on the street?
Well, they do. It's like a company, but they'll book appointments with people, and then they'll drive. Like they were from Tampa, and we live in Southwest, so it was like a 2-hour drive. But these people had ordered meat, but I guess they didn't check it, so it wasn't halal. Anyways, there's a lot of companies that do like grass fed or like farm raised, organic, all these different types of delivery services to kind of, if I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but in your vegan years, like I'm sure you were all well aware of the animal cruelty and the factory farming, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And when my brother got into it, that was something he made me aware of. And like, I'll be honest, I can't watch his videos. I'm a fucking animal lover. And there's people out there like, oh, you eat meat, you can't love animals. It's fucking the stupidest shit ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
support
like a
lot of videos.
Yeah. And I don't support the way factory farming goes about it. But like, I tried to do some of those programs where you're buying the meat and getting the subscriptions from the grass-fed places. It's very unaffordable if you're an everyday Joe Schmo like myself. You hear people like Joe Rogan that go out and hunt his own and then store it in the freezer for years. I don't have the means to be able to do that right now. So I'm just, I'm shocked that you've never heard of Butcher Box.
No.
There's so many podcasts out there that are always doing sponsors for like that, or Omaha Steaks. It's so much different shit for like those programs. Maybe
Didn't
it's
know
time for you
that.
to try a little grass-fed sirloin, you know?
Maybe,
Yeah, well,
maybe one day.
jiu-jitsu and sirloins set you up for happiness. So outside of going
Okay.
back to school, be a CNA and further that career in podcasting, you got anything outside? You like cooking, doing it? What's some of the things you like doing in your free time?
I can't cook for the life of me, so I usually, I
Peanut
don't
butter
know.
and jelly and
I
grilled
like
cheese.
to
Can you do the
literally,
staples? Yep. What's the most like
yeah.
what's the dish that you would say you're the most proud of that you've ever made? Like spaghetti and meatballs with a little fresh cheese, or is that even
Oh
asking too
yeah, for
much?
sure. I love pasta. I like that's literally the only thing I eat
Get you
basically.
an
I
Instapot,
love
girl.
pasta.
You ever use an Instapot?
I no,
Yeah. I don't know if you'd ever want to invest in one, but I use it for so many
I
different things to
should.
cook. And to do pasta in there, you'll literally just pour, like, just for example, 4 cups of pasta. 4 cups of water, pour the pasta in, do some salt, literally just hit a few buttons. It does itself. You don't have to strain it, drain it, boil it, any of that shit. It comes out amazing. Then you can add your seasoning and your spices afterwards. So
Oh, that's
I'm,
cool.
I'm putting you onto some shit this episode, girl. So hook
I
me up and
know.
try at least one if you would, please.
Okay, I do have
Instapot.
an air fryer.
Okay. So that's like the air fryer is definitely, getting up there, but you're a little
Yeah.
limited to as far as certain things you can do. Instapots, you can do almost anything in there, and I'm telling you, these things are incredible.
You
Rice
can make
cook.
a lot in the air fryer
Oh
too.
no, for sure. I've done so many different things in there, but I'm saying like as far as like pasta, which is kind of a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? As far as bringing the water to a boil, straining it, draining it, putting it back. Like in the Instapot, you literally just set it, forget it, walk away.
Okay.
Bingo bango. So, anyways, other than not being able to cook, give us some things like on a
I
Friday night, you get done from work, you and the girls are texting. We got a couple male love interests, potentially going to a club. Are we going to said club? Are we pre-gaming? What's going on Friday night in New York?
really nothing. I only have like 3 friends, okay? I
All
work the night
circles.
shift, so I
Yep. Damn
I
it.
literally sleep throughout the day. So,
What are your shifts like? 10 to 10? What?
11 to 7.
Yeah.
11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
You
And
work
then
the
I sleep
same
from
day.
like
Sorry.
um it depends. Like I do have a schedule, but it's like a weird schedule.
Hmm.
So I usually work so tomorrow I'm off, but I work tonight and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm off the weekend, and then Monday through Thursday I work. Friday I'm off.
Oh, so it's
It's
always
like
kind
a really weird like
of. Have you gotten in a groove though where you're pretty
schedule.
used to it?
Some days I'm like, okay, this is my schedule. Like I'm good with like my schedules, but then like some days I'm like really off with it.
You waking up and having a little like macchiato to get some steam, or are you all natural? You doing the 5 hour energies, the monsters? How we getting that extra boost?
Definitely like energy drinks. I'm big on those. I love energy drinks. That's all I drink.
Really?
Sometimes yeah,
Oh, they're gonna be sometimes water.
it's so bad. Not really.
You don't
I'm
drink any
so bad
water?
with water, like barely.
Damn, you see like multiple
I
times in
hate
the
the
episode,
taste of
I'm just
water.
chugging out of my giant vessel like it's all I drink. So I'm always curious. Like, do you just
Yeah.
not like the taste of it, or you just like what's the deal?
I hate the taste of water. If I
Oh
do drink
God!
water, it
All right, we
has
might
to
have to
have like something flavor in it.
cancel this episode and never release it.
Dang.
No, I'm kidding. I know you wouldn't even care. You're like, all right, who gives a fuck? No, but I'm always been amazed. Like, if you're exercise, I don't know if you like do any kind of, going to gym, running, bike ride, if you do any of that. Like, if you're feeling a little out of breath
I
or you're building
do.
up a good sweat, do you drink water then? Do you enjoy it? Or you just fucking putting Monster in a squirt bottle and
No, if I am working out, I do drink water. That's the only time I do really
oh
drink water is
God,
if I'm working out.
I,
Yeah, I'm just like, the last
it's
thing
weird
I
because
have.
my one of my I have 3 older sisters, and one of them, she does like marathons, Ironmans, triathlons, all that crazy shit, and she fucking hates water, like hates it beyond belief. She hates ice in her water. She hates any kind of water. So I'm just like, how can you be someone who exercises so much and burns so much and needs so much of the replenishment and then hate it so much? So I don't know. I'm always fascinated by that. So what would you say your ratio is? Like 80% energy, 15% coffee, 5% water, maybe less on the water?
Mostly like that, yeah.
Do you care about like the filter versus the tap water? Do you not care?
I don't care,
Oh my
really.
God, you should see me.
They
Like,
all taste the same.
no, they don't. That is fucking nonsense, and it's bullshit, and I will not stand for it. Now I'm like, I'll bring this like to every restaurant I go to because I'm like, I hate
Okay.
sitting there and waiting. Like any establishment, not just a restaurant. If I'm walking around in like a mall, I have this in my hands. So I'm like,
You bring it to a restaurant, though?
just did it today, sitting right on the bar. It's
I've
like,
never seen someone bring a water bottle to a restaurant.
trendsetter. No,
Maybe I should do that.
well, no. First of all, like, I'm pretty particular about my water. Like, if you go to a restaurant and they're serving you tap water that's just terrible, no, I'm out. I
Okay.
drink water with every meal. I go to restaurants. I never order alcohol. I don't order tea or juice. It's always water. Other part is like if you go and you get good water, you have one glass and you drink it, and you got a fucking shitty server that's never going to refill it. Then you're sitting there with an empty glass the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't wait for these problems to come to me. I come prepared and I face them head on. You think I'm like my
Okay.
brother-in-law? Every time he's like, "You're really bringing that with you in public." I'm like, dude, not only is it a water bottle, this thing. If I lock this thing on, girl, this shit's a fucking weapon, dude. You walk into me, I can start.
Yeah.
But seriously, like, so I'm just. I guess I can give you a little bit of kudos for not being into water. I think that's kind of a nice skill set to have because, you know, my family, we've called me like the ice Nazi, the water snob, because people will come to our house and like, if I would hear the ice dispenser going off and I'd sit on the couch, I'd like look up and perk up like a dog and see they're taking ice. Cause I need I'll fill my jug up to here with ice and then pour water on top of it.
That's what I do.
So exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Like to the point where it's hurting your teeth because it's so cold. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right. Well, I always tell people, you know, when we get that you see the running clock up top.
Yep.
I hate getting cut off. It's my biggest pet peeve. So I'll try my best to give you these last 3 minutes to kind of, you know, plug your podcast, tell some people a little bit about that, and I'll try not to interrupt.
Talking about my podcast?
Or if you have a question for me, this is like, I'm trying to give you, if you want to promote that or ask me something, or
Okay.
I mean, I can keep peppering questions at you, but I'm like, I try to give you a little sunshine here, girl, you know?
I guess I'll just promote my podcast, Talkie With Us. It's on any like platform you listen to podcasts. We talk mostly about books, movies, and music, mostly books and movies because we're not really a music kind of people, but sometimes we talk about music, but we are going to have a lot of guests on. I'm still finding guests. Okay. We'll have you on. But yeah, we're starting to find guests and talk about mostly movies, especially like Stranger Things. I want people to come on and talk about
Come
Stranger
on, girl. Giddy up now.
Things.
I want a piece of that.
Okay. But that's really it. That's all we talk about. We're pretty chill. And yeah. But thank you
You're
for
awesome
having
to
me.
talk to. I'm
Thank you.
really glad you came on, especially I kind of threw you a curveball and changed plans at the last minute, which I don't usually do, but I appreciate you being flexible and working around that.
I'm always flexible, so.
No, you were awesome. And yeah, I would love to have you on again if you'd ever want to come back on. And
Oh, definitely, yes.
if I didn't talk too much and turn you off and scare you away, it'd be great to have you.
No, you're good.
I kind of like having get someone on like this. And if I feel like it flowed easily, like I feel like this was definitely a very nice, easy conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Do it again, get me on your show to have you and what was her name? Bree?
Bree, yeah.
Ask me some questions, get my take on some things. Just like if you wanted to do like any kind of thing, what I would ask is just give me a little bit of heads up because I'm notorious for reading books, watching shows, listening to podcasts, and forgetting it instantly. So like, just give me a little like, hey, Stranger Things season this or the last season, and then I can kind of watch it and come in ready because I would love to do that.
Sounds perfect.
Oh yeah, well, Anya, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been a pleasure of having you on Verbal Garbage. Thank you for all the listeners for tuning in, and please check her podcast out. It's called Talkie With Us on all platforms.
Talkie.
Fuck
Talkie With Us.
God damn it! Can we check? All right, Talkie With Us on all platforms where you can find your podcast. My girl, sorry to mess up the name again. Have a great night. Thank you so much for coming on.
Peace out.
Hell yeah! Thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
God bless. That was awesome.